the topic for today, which I think, in my opinion, is just going to be super valuable for anybody that's going to be watching this. We're going to talk about you. We're going to talk about your goals. We're going to talk about you completing in your very first ever powerlifting events. We're also going to dive a lot into the mindset. I feel like anybody that maybe they don't know you or they don't know what Heartletics is, they're really going to get a good glimpse of what our coaching program is and what it is that we're really trying to do here when it comes to just helping inspire our members to become the best versions of themselves, not just physically, but mentally, emotionally, spiritually, the whole nine yards. I feel like they're really going to get a good glimpse of that after hearing your interview. BP, for starters, man, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? What kind of, I guess, first and foremost, how'd you find out about Heartletics in the first place? What kind of led you to joining our coaching program?
I found it online, actually, watching some of your videos that you do. So that was like 2 years, almost 2 years ago.
Yeah, it's coming up.
Yeah,
No,
yeah, uh,
November 16th is our anniversary, right?
yeah, yeah,
Coming up.
exactly. So we did, I think we did like a phone interview.
Hmm.
Yeah, so we
Yeah.
just went over our basic goals and everything, and so
Let,
uh,
let,
uh,
let's talk about that real quick though. So a lot of guys ask me like, hey, I want to get started. I want to get signed up. And I always say the same thing. Hey, schedule a strategy call, right? Let's talk about your health and fitness goals first, right? And then some people schedule, some people don't, right? They might get turned off by that. Obviously, hey, you decided to, click on that link, schedule a call, and we talked. And on that call, if you remember right, we went over your goals, we went over what you've tried before in the past, we went over your biggest struggles. And then we kind of designed a plan together on that call, essentially like how I would help coach you. And
exactly.
I don't know if you remember this, but I remember you said one of your biggest goals was, hey, I want to be able to cut the grass with my shirt off. I just want to be
Exactly.
able to feel more comfortable, more confident.
Yeah,
Do you remember that call? Let's go to that memory lane. What do you remember from that call?
that's exactly the first thing that I remember is just wanting to be able to take my shirt off in public, um, just have more self confidence.
Yeah.
So, and just
Yeah.
lose 20 pounds was my goal. So,
And let me ask you this, right? In terms of, losing the weight and having that self-confidence, like, were you able to have success at reaching your goals?
yes, very much so.
I love
Yeah.
it. I love it. Now, let's talk a little bit about the mindset because obviously, like, yes, you were able to lose the weight, you were able to have the confidence, but when you got signed up for our coaching program, obviously, yeah, you had the workouts, you had the macros, the nutrition plan, the community, everything like that. But what everybody typically says is, I wasn't expecting to learn this much about me and the mindset, right? And meaning as like you, not me as Coach Joe, but
Right.
learning about yourself, learning about how to overcome challenges, learning about how to push through perseverance. And me and you actually started doing some one-on-one mindset calls together. And why don't you kind of tell everybody, about those calls? Essentially, like, what did we go over? Were those calls helpful or not? Like, somebody might be listening for the very first time and be like, what is a mindset call even about? Do you want to educate them on that?
Yeah. So, basically, our mindset calls was just a one on one call. And I was going through a lot of negativity at the time and a lot of self-limiting beliefs about myself and my abilities. And so we actually just sat down once a week and just went over step by step things that we could do. I mean, we talked about daily affirmations, we
Mhm.
talked about declarations, we talked about journaling, we created a manifesto, which I still have right here. Uh,
Yeah.
we talked about goal setting. We talked about stepping outside of our comfort zone, and we got to that point. And I think that was in December, and we started talking about stepping outside of our comfort zone and what we could do within this next year in 2024 to what we could do to step outside of our comfort zone. So you were talking about how you hated running and you signed up for a half marathon, and I think that was your half marathon was in May, right?
Well, yeah, it was in April, but
Yeah,
that was because you motivated me, right?
yeah,
If you remember, right, as we were coming to the end of December, right, the goal was to give you like, okay, how can you step outside of your comfort zone? And remember, inside the app, we gave you, sign up for a boxing class, do this, do that. And one
mhm,
of them was the powerlifting event. And
yeah,
like, I would not be doing my running because I hate running, grew up with asthma, right? Like, still to this day, hate running. It's just not fun by any means. But you just randomly said, hey, Joe, I got signed up for that powerlifting event. And it was just like, I loved it so much because you ripped off the band-aid. There's a lot of people out there that talk the talk, and you
Yeah,
were somebody that actually walks the walk. Where I was like,
yeah.
oh, shoot, BP stepped out of his comfort zone. I got to also, and that's what
Ex-
led to me signing up.
So it's not just something that we wrote down in our journal that that's what we want to do. Once you signed up for your half marathon, I knew I had to follow through as well. So
Yeah.
so we're going to hold each other accountable.
And
So
that's the key, right? Iron sharpens iron. And it's just like you got to make sure you're surrounding yourself with the right people that it's not only there to, encourage you and support you like how we do with everybody inside the community group, but also challenge you, right?
yeah,
Like you can't grow a muscle if you always lift the same weights. It's just like you're going
that's
to hit a stall, you're going to hit a plateau. And sometimes on our health and fitness journey, we got to make sure that we have the right, people in our corner to also just push us and challenge us. So BP, I remember one specific mindset call that we had where I asked you, I said, hey man, what is something that you're proud of? And do you remember that call?
I do. That was our first call.
Yeah. And why don't you kind of share with everybody more information about that? Because I bet you anything, BP, like if I had to ask anybody out there, they would have the same reaction and the same response
Mhm.
as how you did. Why don't you kind of share with everybody about how that call went?
uh, so that was like the very beginning of the call, and you asked me. You said, "Give me some of your big wins,"
Mhm.
and I'm like, I don't think I have any. A big win.
And how old are you?
I'm 56.
Okay. And you did eventually figure out some wins because we talked you through that.
We did.
But it just goes to show you that what you focus on grows. A lot of people focus on, oh, I'm not good enough, or I was never able to do this, and it's a lot of negativity. So
Yep.
it's like in order, right, to you to focus on the positivity up here, it's typically all the way back here,
Hmm.
unless we actually bring it to the surface. So if you remember, it took us a while, but you told me about how you ran the marathon, right? That was one of your big wins. You told me
Uh-huh.
about completing, right, the dentist school. That was another big win.
Yep.
And it builds up this confidence factor because it probably took you quite some time, right? That you remembered, hey, I actually did do a marathon, right? And it's like you can stem from that. That's honestly how you build confidence. It's not coming from like the muscles are looking good with your shirt off, but it's coming from perseverance. It's coming from doing the hard things that you already did before in the past, and you're bringing them back to the present as a reminder to fuel you and motivate you. BP, after we had that call, do you remember the one specific mindset exercise that I wish everybody and their mother would do on a daily basis that you started doing, right? And you said it has helped you out so much with your confidence. Would you mind sharing with everybody what that was?
That was actually writing down your wins for the day.
Yeah, self-reflection.
Self-reflection. So I so you had wanted me to write down at the end of the day to reflect back the whole day and write and think about all the wins that I had to end the day on a positive note. So instead of doing that, I just wrote them down as it happened.
Yeah,
Anything that happened.
yeah, and that's good. And you just said it, right? You said any kind of win, right? So what are
Exactly.
some small wins and what are some big wins that like on average you would typically like write down?
So if I was dealing with like a patient, for instance, and the procedure went well, I wrote that down. If I was having a conversation and I was positive and I tried to pass that positivity on to someone else, I wrote that down.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And since doing the self-reflection exercise, which only takes what, right? I know you do them as you're going throughout the course of the day, but it takes what, 5, 10 minutes,
Yeah, it's easy.
What very easy. Yeah. What I guess has changed in your life since doing that exercise with the self-reflection?
Oh my gosh. My positivity is 120% better. So now I call myself the ambassador of positivity. So I
Oh,
to pass that positivity on to someone else.
I love that. The ambassador of positivity. And it's a simple exercise, right? Anybody can do it. So if
Yep.
somebody's listening for the very first time, like you just heard, right? You can gain a lot of confidence, gain a lot of positivity by just writing down your wins.
Hmm.
Whether it's 5, 10, 15, 20, big or small, it doesn't matter. But
Yep.
like this is how you have that winner's mindset. This is really about just self-awareness of seeing like, hey, even on your worst days, you're still winning, you
It's
know?
a good thing.
On one of the calls, right, I gave you a little secret tip, and you already kind of share with everybody. It's that manifesto, and that's
Mhm.
something that I started doing personally with myself. Man, maybe about 10 years ago, and it's changed everything about me, right? My mindset, my life, goals. It makes me just focus and have an alignment with the goals. Just makes it so much crystal clear and a lot easier for me. Would you mind sharing with everybody a little bit about your manifesto? Like, I guess for starters, what is a manifesto to break it down in the simplest sense for everybody listening in? And then also kind of share with everybody, like, do you read it? How often? How does it make you feel? Like, how does a manifesto, a little piece of paper, how has it helped you, I guess?
So a manifesto is just like, I think it's just like a little paragraph or two paragraphs of just something positive about yourself that you don't normally think about, that you can read that daily. Um, then at the end, you can throw in some goals that you might want it, that you might big goals that you might want to end up in, so that you can positively think about those goals and keep them in your mind, so you never forget about them.
Yeah. And how often do you read yours or see yours?
I read mine every day when I wake up because
When
it's in my journal book, and
I
so when I open the journal book, it's folded in half. So I just pull it out and I read it to myself.
I love that. Absolutely love that, especially first in the morning, right? So instead of, maybe grabbing your phone and scrolling on Facebook or YouTube or Instagram or, turning on the news and seeing all the negativity in the world, it's like, hey, you're grabbing your, gratitude journal, and you got your manifesto right there. And you said it best. It's a little reminder to yourself, almost just like inspired action, but it's your own words. And then obviously you're putting the twist on it as well. You're sharing your goals, sharing your affirmations in there. It's a sense where you can read this to yourself and just feel inspired. And I guess I want to know that from you. Is like, let's say you woke up and you just weren't feeling it for that day.
Hmm.
Maybe it's just like a bad day, right? Every dog has its day. But what happens when you read your manifesto? Like, does that change things for you? Does it make you feel better? I guess like share with everybody a little bit of
It
context about that.
it does make you feel better. It just puts a positive spin on the start of the day, because I mean you have something to work for now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, those goals got stuck back in the back of your mind.
Exactly. I was going to say it's a reminder. So instead of us like just going through the motions of, hey, I gotta, get my breakfast ready, get my, clothes on for work and out the door, and then boom, you're at work 8, 9, 10 hours a day and then back home, right? You're just in
Mhm.
that Groundhog's Day over and over again. This puts a little spin on things. This changes your focus, right? And shifts it to, hey, what are you trying to achieve, right? What are your goals? What is the impression that you want to leave on others? What is the legacy that you want to leave? So that's the importance of a manifesto. And for anybody that might be listening and diving in, if you have any questions at all or want more information about, a manifesto, if you're watching this on YouTube, just leave a comment down below. Just say manifesto. That way I know, and who knows, maybe me and BP, we might just talk a little bit more about that specifically, and we can get some tips and tricks on how to create it. Let's talk next about the powerlifting event. Because obviously that was the big thing, right? Was hey, stepping outside of your comfort zone, taking that action, which is very hard to do, honestly. Like I said, a lot of guys talk the talk. BP, you always walk the walk, and that's why I admire you and I look up to you a lot, man. So walk us through this, for somebody that has never once done a powerlifting event or ever seen kind of a powerlifting event. Why don't you kind of tell everybody about for starters, like what a powerlift event is, what kind of exercises are you doing? How does it work? Give some details about that.
So the main powerlifting event consists of a squat, a bench press, and a deadlift. So you have three attempts in each one to, I guess, reach your maximum goal.
Okay.
So I had never done one before, and I had no idea what was involved in it. So I had to learn how to train for one. So we started out with the split exercises that you had set up for me, and then maybe about 6 months before the event, maybe 4 or 5 months, I started actually just focusing on the three lifts.
Mhm.
Um, and then getting really into it, and then being able to lift heavier, I started doing mini events 1 day a week. So doing all three of those in one workout.
Yeah.
So yeah, and
So
so
it's
I
like I was just gonna say, sorry, I was just gonna say you're mimicking, right, the actual event itself. So that way it's
exactly.
like you're getting your nervous system, you're getting the format, you're getting everything down. It's like getting ready to go play a basketball game, right? And it's
Yep,
like, how do you practice? Start shooting the ball, you
yep,
know?
yep. So I would actually know what doing all three of those in one event would feel like. because I'd only done like, one day I would do squats, one day I would do deadlifts, and the other day I would do bench. So I started out when I started doing those mini events, I started doing like 800 pounds in the workout. But I was, my goal was to get over 1,000 pounds in one workout, right? So
Can you explain the 800 pounds though? Because somebody might be like, dude, he squats 800 pounds or he deadlifts 800 pounds. Explain that.
it's it's a combined one rep max of all three. So so when I actually before the event, I reached the 1,000 pound club, and so I think I squatted like 300 something. There was a 245 pound bench, and then I think I deadlifted 405. So that all added up to 1,000. I think I did 1,010 or something. So when it actually came to the event itself, I did a 345 squat. I did a 255 bench press, which was a PR. And then I did a 430-pound deadlift, which was a PR. So that
Yeah.
was 1,020 pounds. Yeah.
Okay, so what was your mindset like walking into, I guess, like the gym and like how were you feeling, right? Was it nerves? Was it anxiety? Was it like feel good? Like walk everybody through like the mindset of walking in there and then also leaving, right? I want to know like the details. What's going on up here?
Yeah. So I was really nervous since I'd never done one before. I didn't know exactly what I was supposed to do. So I asked a lot of questions. Um, but I was actually the oldest guy there. There was like everybody was in like, high school and in their 20s and 30s. So I'm like, there is no way I'm going to be able to keep up with these guys. But then um, I talked with one of our fellow Heartletics guys who had done a powerlifting event a long time ago, and he just told me that you're competing against yourself. You're not competing against all those other guys. So just go in there and do the best you can, and let the adrenaline take over.
What was it like leaving? Like if you were nervous and you had the jitters, walking into it, what was it like completing it?
So I hung around after everything was done, and they were given awards. And I didn't come close to what all the other guys had done. I just did what I could do. But I ended up with a trophy.
Yeah, I
Like,
love
wow,
that.
this is amazing. I was on cloud nine. Let me tell you.
For somebody that might be listening for the very first time, they heard about how you got started with Heartletics. They heard about the transition, right? How, you came in looking to lose weight, have more confidence, have more energy. You're able to get that. We then fast forward to now working on your mindset more in detail,
Yeah.
right? It went from transforming, right, the negativity into more positivity, having you focus on your wins. We did a lot with the manifesto, gratitude, right? Meditation, visualizing, all that, right? Went into your mindset. And now
Mhm.
you're the ambassador for positivity, right? And not only that, but now you're like the beast who's signed up for these powerlifting events. You have another one that's coming up, as you mentioned, right? So it's just like, it's so inspiring just seeing all this, right? The transition from just where you were 2 years ago when you first got signed up to who you are mentally and physically now. I guess your whole entire Heartletics career, if you had to summarize, what are like three big takeaways that you want to kind of share with everybody for if somebody is just like listening for the very first time and maybe they don't know about you, they don't know about me, they don't know about Heartletics, but you can share just three takeaways to just inspire them.
Man, the first one is you always have to believe in yourself.
Mm.
You really need to focus on yourself and believe in yourself.
All right, BP. So tell us a little bit more detail, right? What do you mean by like believe in yourself?
So when I was started training for the powerlifting event, I had a lot of self doubt that I could actually do it. I actually had to talk myself as I'm standing there doing squats or deadlifts. I actually had to talk myself. I had to give myself positive thoughts that I could do this. I had a lot of self doubts that I was too old to do it. I wasn't strong enough to do it. Um, and that kind of bled into my workouts itself because I struggled a while um, to get through the workouts. I didn't feel like I was lifting heavy enough. So I kept putting in the work. I kept doing it. I didn't stop. I I kept talking to myself that you just got to do it, no matter what happens. In the end, you're gonna do this.
Yeah, yeah. Napoleon Hill, in his book Outwitting the Devil, he said repetition is the mother of all learning. So, like, to summarize what you just said, if you want to believe in yourself, just put in the reps, plain and simple, right?
Yeah.
Like you mentioned, hey, I wasn't lifting heavy enough. I thought I was just going to be the old guy, and like these self-limiting beliefs that start to come back. But it's like when you show up, not just talk the talk, but when you walk the walk, when you actually put in the right steps and take action, eventually that belief comes. What's the
Hmm.
second big takeaway?
Speaking positive thoughts to yourself.
Ooh, okay. Tell
Yeah.
us a little bit more.
Yeah. So, and it kind of goes back to the self-limiting beliefs and the doubt in myself. How I got through that was speaking positive thoughts to myself. I mean, I was literally working out, talking out loud, positive thoughts to myself just to get through the workout.
Yeah, yeah. I love that. And you already know I love that because I love affirmations. I tell everybody, right? But if somebody from the outside might be listening in, they might be like, that sounds weird. Trust me, it sounds weird until you actually do it. And
Hmm.
you think it sounds weird? It's gonna feel 10 times weirder, trust me. But
Yeah.
eventually, with any affirmation, it gets so much easier? And I love the fact that you're doing them rep over rep too,
Yeah.
because if you think about it, let's just say a standard 5 by 5, right? So 5 sets, 5 reps, that's
Hmm.
25 reps right there total, right?
Hmm.
For the whole entire, workout. Well, at the end of the day, man, if you're saying like, hey, I got this, I believe in myself, I'm unstoppable, right? Like I'm confident in my abilities, like I'm strong, I'm relentless. If you're saying those affirmations 25 times on
Yeah.
repeat constantly every single workout, you're going to turn into a beast, not just
Yeah.
physically, but mentally as well.
Oh, I'm sure everyone in the gym thought I was weird, but it really did help.
What's the third biggest
The
takeaway?
third is do something out of the ordinary. Be extraordinary. I mean, if you were setting a goal for yourself and it's like something that you would never dream of doing or think about planning to do, you should do it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, let me ask you this though.
Yeah.
What if it scares them to death? Like, what if they're like, like that type of, hey, I want to take ship, right? I want to jump off the cliff, but I'm scared because I don't know if the parachute's going to come out, right? Like, what's going to help them take that first leap, especially if they're scared as can all get out, right? Like, what can help them step outside their comfort zone?
The fear of the unknown is the biggest reason why we stay in our comfort zone. So, having fear, being afraid is okay. Being afraid of the unknown is okay. You just got to trust yourself. You got to trust the process.
Fear has two different acronyms, right? So there is, forget everything and run, and then there is, face everything and rise. And
Mhm.
obviously, like after seeing your transition from these past 2 years being inside of our coaching program, every time you're faced with fear, man, you're always that type of person where you rise from the equation instead of run, man. And I think that's what truly helps somebody just build more confidence. And, you signed up to our coaching program to obviously lose weight, but also gain that confidence now. How do you feel right now that you just completed this powerlifting event and you're getting ready to sign up for another one here in the near future? It's like, do you feel more confident in your strength, your skills, your mindset, the whole, you as an individual, as a person? Like, do you feel more, having that sense of confidence?
I do have an abundance of confidence. It feels like after I signed up for Heartletics that this door opened up to new opportunities that,
Yeah.
I like explore and do things in a different with a different mindset.
I love that. I love hearing that. I love hearing that, man. And let me ask you this, the last question, right? Let's say somebody's on the fence and they're hearing this, interview and they're like, "Oh man, like that sounds sweet. Like I want to lose weight. I want to have more confidence. I want to have a better mindset. I want to eventually become a beast like BP and start, making it to the 1,000 pound club and join a powerlifting event one day." What would you tell somebody that might be on the fence where maybe it's like they've been listening to, the podcast for a minute, or maybe they heard about Heartletics, or maybe seen some of our live, behind the scene coaching calls, and they're thinking about scheduling a call. As
Yeah.
you mentioned, right? Like that's how it all started for you, right? On that call, probably nervous a little bit, normally is for most people. They don't know what to expect,
Yeah.
but it's a simple conversation going over your goals, everything like that. What would you want to say to just inspire somebody to just help them to get started, right? And maybe schedule that call.
Get the
What would you
next
say to
step.
just encourage them?
If somebody was like stuck in a rut and they're trying to make change, but the change isn't happening, or they're in a stalled progress. I mean, this is the place. Heartletics is the place that can all change.
Love it, BP. I first and foremost, once again, just want to say how grateful I am and how proud I am of you, man. Not just step outside of your comfort zone and signing up for, the powerlifting event, but absolutely crushing it. And then signing up for another one too. I think that's just incredibly amazing of you to just say, like, okay, hey, let's just do it all over again. So I think that's awesome. I really appreciate, your time today speaking with me, and hopefully, for anybody out there that, hey, you listen to BP's interview, you're taking some inspired action, you want to get started, you want to learn how to create sustainable habits for yourself. Well, hey, you can obviously just click on the link down below, schedule a free strategy call, and just once again, see if maybe Heartletics is a good place for you as well. BP, I appreciate your time today, brother.
Thank you so much, brother.